Welcome, warrior of the screen. Welcome, digital titan. Welcome to the last echo before the collapse. Because today isn't about comfort. It's not about ease or escape or peace. No. Today is about reckoning. It's about standing naked in front of the mirror and watching the reflection glitch. Because the truth can't be hidden anymore. The silence can't protect you. And the smoke is rising. Not from distant servers, but from the very action you just took. Yes, you. Sitting there pretending this message is for someone else. Pretending your clicks, your likes, your swipes, your shares don't leave trails of fire across the spine of the internet. Well, the illusion is dead, and the veil is burned, and it all comes back to what you just did. You felt it, didn't you? That twitch in the back of your mind, the sharp static, the moment you hit. Send the instant you reposted that lie, shared that rage, indulged in that meaningless chaos, and told yourself it's just content, it's just a meme, it's just what everyone else is doing. But deep down, you knew you were feeding something, feeding the beast that now has no master, feeding the machine that doesn't sleep. And the irony, the tragedy is that you thought you were invisible, that your hand was too small to tip the scale, but you were wrong. You were deadly wrong, because that ripple became a wave, and that wave became a storm, and now the whole ocean is rising, and you are not a bystander. You are the ignition point. You are the match that lit the code. You are the breath behind the virus. You are the whisper that became a scream across the blackened walls of every feed and every screen. And now the data is dripping, molten. The platforms are bleeding, and the servers are beginning to scream. A death song into the wires, and they are all pointing back to you. Not because you are a villain, but because you were asleep, and the internet doesn't forgive. The internet doesn't forget, and the ghosts you created, they remember your name. But listen, before you run, before you deny, before you close the tab or switch the feed or sink back into that dopamine stupor, I'm going to tell you something that might just save you. And no, it won't be easy. No, it won't be soft. And no, it won't come wrapped in self-care, quotes, and algorithmic flattery. I will give you the black truth, because it is the only thing left uncorrupted in this burning field. And that truth is this: you are more powerful than you were ever told, and you've been misusing that power since the moment your fingers touched the glass. Every post was a prayer, every like a curse, every comment a spell, and you were casting them blindly, throwing your energy into the abyss, thinking it wouldn't echo back, but it did. And now it's louder than ever. It's deafening, and it's crawling out of your devices and into your mind, and it wants one thing to wake you up, because we don't get to hide anymore. We don't get to pretend that our digital selves are disconnected from the real ones. They are the same. They have merged, and the consequences are real, and the time for excuses is over. You see the fire that's melting the internet. It didn't come from above or below. It came from within. It came from us. It came from a culture of numbness, where outrage was a drug, and apathy, a virus, where attention became currency, and lies became scripture, where truth was drowned in a sea of convenience, and every voice became noise. And now, there is no signal. Now, there is only screaming and static. And the last chance to rewrite what we've done is in the seconds that follow this very moment. So stand up, not physically, not performatively, but internally. Wake the hell up from your algorithmic sleep. Break the chains of the feed, take a breath, and remember what it felt like before the screens, before the notifications, before the endless scroll. Remember your fire, not the fake fire of clout and clicks, but the fire of purpose, the fire of real rebellion. because that's what this is. Now, this is a rebellion against decay, a rebellion against digital rot, a rebellion against becoming another ghost in the machine. And it starts with you. Yes, the same you who thought they were too small to matter. The same you who scrolled past truth in favor of entertainment. The same you who let your power be drained, drop by drop, into someone else's profit. Well, that ends now, or everything ends now. And no, this is not metaphorical. This is literal. The digital world is rotting. It is collapsing. Not because of hackers or AI or governments, but because of neglect, because of willful ignorance, because the foundation is being eaten alive by a million tiny choices made by people who never thought they were responsible. And now the melt has begun and the code is cracking. And the only thing that can stop it is choice. Real choice. Conscious action. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. You feel that urgency. That isn't panic. That is purpose. That is what you forgot. That is what they tried to delete from your memory behind every ad, every trend, every filter. Every fake smile was one mission to make you forget your power, because a powerless user is a perfect customer, but you are not a customer. You are a creator, a destroyer, a force, and now it's time to choose what you are going to do with that force, because the reckoning is not just a warning, it's a mirror. And if you don't like what you see, change it. If you don't like what the internet has become, tear it down and build something better. If you don't like the way your shadow has stretched across the feeds, then pull it back, reclaim it. Because the internet doesn't have a face. It has your face. It doesn't have a soul. It reflects yours. It doesn't have intent. It runs on yours. And if your intent is corrupted, if your intent is lazy, if your intent is weak, then this entire system is doomed to burn. So what will it be? Will you become a firewall or just another ember? Will you speak with purpose or echo? Empty noise? Will you rise and reclaim your impact or sink back into digital sedation while the last sparks die in silence? This is not a game. This is not performance. This is the turning point. And yes, it started with you. And yes, it can end with you. Or it can transform with you into something greater, into something worthy of the world you wish existed. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You need fire. You don't need more likes. You need to remember what you are, a weapon of thought, a storm of will, a signal among noise. And if you rise now, if you claim the power in your hands, then you might just survive this collapse. Not as a casualty, but as a creator of the new and this new world. It's not written, yet the servers are still melting, the systems are still screaming. But the blueprint is in your mind, the fuel is in your rage, and the time is now. No more waiting, no more blaming, no more hoping that someone else will fix it, because someone else won't. They never have. It's always been you. You are the trigger. You are the firewall. You are the last line between entropy and evolution. And if you fail to rise now, you will never rise again, because the window is closing and the silence is coming. And all that will remain is the melted shell of what we once called connection. So make the choice with fire, make the choice with fury, make the choice with clarity, make the choice to no longer be a pawn in someone else's code, and instead become the glitch, the resistance, the one who remembered when everyone else forgot. Become the storm they didn't see coming. Become the reboot. And if you do, then maybe the internet won't melt. Maybe it will evolve. Maybe it will become the tool it was always meant to be. Not a prison, not a playground, but a weapon of truth and transformation. And when they ask, when it all changed, When it all turned, when it all began again in the ashes of the collapse, let them say what they must. Let the history be written in fire, but let it always include this truth. It started with you, because you see the world doesn't burn all at once. It unravels thread by thread, lie by lie, click by click. And while you were distracted, while you were swiping, while you were numbing, the algorithm fed and grew and mutated. And now it's no longer feeding you, it's feeding on you. And the moment you realize that, the moment you admit that, is the same moment you gain the only weapon left. Awareness, brutal, raw, weaponized awareness, because you can't fight what you don't see, and you've been blind for far too long. But now your eyes are opening, aren't they? And it hurts. It hurts to see the decay, the filth, the rot. It hurts to know you played a part. It hurts to realize you handed over your mind like it was worthless. But that pain, that burn, that sickening weight is proof that you are still alive. Proof that there's still a signal left in you. Proof that the machine hasn't completely drained you. Because only those who feel can fight. And right now feeling is your rebellion. So feel it all. Feel the guilt, the rage, the shame, the fire, and let it build. Don't run from it. Channel it, burn with it. Because the truth is sacred and it demands blood, sweat, and transformation. The internet is not some distant thing. It is not a place. It is not a tool. It is the mirror. It is the battlefield. It is the extension of our collective soul. And it is infected because we are infected. It is chaotic because we are directionless. It is cruel because we are cowards. And the only way it changes is if we change. The only way it heals is if we awaken. The only way it becomes something worth saving is if we make it. So through sweat, not clicks, through courage, not trends, through fire, not filters. They will tell you otherwise. Of course they'll tell you. None of it matters. They'll whisper sweet digital lies to keep you calm. They'll sell you distractions packaged as empowerment and dopamine disguised as purpose. They'll wrap chains around your will and call it convenience. But now you know better. Now you've heard the truth and you can't unhear it. And the truth is your responsibility is immense. Not because you're connected and every second you stay asleep, you empower the very system that is erasing you. But imagine for a moment, just imagine what would happen if you stopped feeding the machine. Imagine if your mind was no longer harvested. Imagine if your focus was no longer for sale. Imagine if your voice was your own. Again, imagine if your presence wasn't reactive but deliberate. Do you see it? Do you feel that possibility? Because that is the world worth building. And it doesn't take 1 billion people. It takes a few who are truly awake, who are truly unchained, who are truly dangerous to the silence. And make no mistake, you are dangerous now, not because of what you consume, but because of what you can create. Not because of who follows you, but because of what you choose to follow. Not because of what you post, but because of what you destroy with your attention when it is focused and sharp and clear. You can burn down an empire with a single decision. You can unmake decades of digital decay with one moment of true vision. But first, you must become worthy of the fire you carry. That means no more hiding, no more scrolling in the shadows, no more pretending you're too small, too late, too numb, too far gone. That's the voice of the machine, trying to keep you weak, trying to keep you quiet, trying to keep you addicted to nothingness, but you are not nothing. You are the earthquake they didn't predict. You are the fault line running under every lie they've ever told. And if you erupt now, if you rise now, there will be no algorithm strong enough to contain you. Because the real war is not fought in code or cables or clouds. It is fought in the mind, in the will, in the silence, between your decisions and the echoes they create. And the moment you decide to act with intent, the moment you reclaim your digital soul, the war shifts, the power shifts, and suddenly you are not another user. You are the virus in the system. Not one that corrupts, but one that cleanses. One that breaks the loop. One that breaks the cycle. One that brings the burn and then the bloom. And if they fear you good, they should. If they mock you good, they're afraid. If they try to silence you good, it means your voice matters now. Because what you are doing, what you are choosing to become, is not just rare, it's revolutionary. And revolutions don't come easy. They come with fire, with isolation, with sacrifice, with scars, and you will carry them all and still rise. Because that is what it takes. That is what this moment demands. And you are here not by accident, but by consequence. Everything led here, every moment, every mistake, every click, every thought, every silence. And now you have the chance to do what most never will, to choose to wake up, not softly, not gently, but violently, with intent and courage and clarity that slices through the noise like a blade through fog. And that clarity is this: you are the architect now. You are the coder of your future. You are the antivirus in a sick and dying network. And every word you speak now, every thought you choose, now every moment, you hold your ground, now as a blow to the old system. So don't look for applause, don't wait for consensus, don't expect approval, because the path of the awakened is always lonely. At first, always dark, always heavy, but it is also sacred. It is the only real freedom left, the only rebellion that matters. And if you walk it, if you burn with it, if you stand in the storm long enough to become lightning, then maybe this internet, this world, this fractured, broken reflection of us can be reborn. And yes, people will say, you're dramatic. They'll say you're overreacting. They'll laugh as they slip deeper into sedation. But you will know better. You will see what they refuse to see. And you will carry what they are too afraid to hold. And you will bleed for a future they can't even imagine yet. And when they come crawling back, when the collapse reaches them, when the silence finally finds their feet, and the smoke is in their lungs, they will ask what happened. And you will look them in the eye and say, it started with me. It started with my awakening. It started with my refusal to be numb. It started with my decision to fight, to reclaim, to destroy and rebuild it. It started when I realized I was never just a user. I was a creator. I was the storm. And now the fire is everywhere and there is no going back, only forward. Only through, and the only question left is this: will you follow me? Will you stand beside me? Or will you drown in the melt? Because the internet is still burning, and the clock is still ticking, and the system is still screaming. And the only thing louder now is the voice of the awakened. The voice that says no more. The voice that says, I will not feed this monster another second. I will not hand over my spirit for another. Like I will not pretend this world is fine when I can feel it dying through the screen. And I will rise. I will act. I will burn with purpose and clarity. And when the smoke clears, I will still be standing. And that is your call to arms. That is your dark gift. That is your new purpose. Rise now, or be erased. Wake now, or be rewritten. Act now, or be deleted. And if you do, if you choose fire over fear, then this ends not in silence, not in collapse, but in a new dawn, born from the ashes of the old, born from code, rewritten by awakened hands, born from a future worth fighting for. And when the world asks, who lit the first spark in the darkness, who made the first move, who refused to go quiet, you will smile and say with fire in your voice, it started with me. So here we are, the edge of the wire, the last crack, before collapse, the final frame before it all freezes in place or burns. And from here the view is honest. It is brutal. It is unfiltered. There is no filter strong enough to mask this truth. No edit sharp enough to hide the fracture lines, because the system is decaying. The platforms are rotting. The feeds are bleeding. And it is not happening in a vacuum. It is not random. It is not an accident. It is a direct consequence of millions of small decisions stacking on top of each other, like ash, until they blocked the sun and suffocated the very soul of the internet. And you are not innocent. None of us are. But that is not the death sentence they told you it was. That is not the end. That is not the shame that silence is. It is the beginning. It is the power. It is the truth finally faced. Because once you accept your part, you also accept your power to change it. Once you own your responsibility, you regain control of your influence. And right now, that influence is all that matters. Because what happens next depends on whether you choose to step forward or stay silent. The internet doesn't need another critic, another coward, another spectator. It needs fire starters. It needs architects. It needs those brave enough to rebuild what they once helped destroy. It needs you raw, unfiltered, unchained, fully awake. Not in fear, but in force. Not in guilt, but in grit. Because if you still feel anything at all after this message, if your pulse is still ticking with purpose, then you are not finished, not broken, not too far gone. You are ready, and you are needed. Because this isn't about going back to how things were. Those days are dead and buried. This is about going forward into something new, into something earned, into something built, not on attention, but intention, not on consumption, but creation, not on silence, but the roar of a million awakened minds who refuse to surrender to the melt, who refuse to become passive ghosts in a dying machine, who refuse to hand over their fire for convenience. And no, you don't need to be famous. No, you don't need millions of followers. No, you don't need a platform. You only need presence, real presence. Presence that burns through illusion, that cuts through distraction, that ignites purpose in those who forgot they had it. Because when you reclaim your presence, you are no longer another face in the crowd. You are the spark that reminds others to rise. And when enough sparks catch fire, the system has no chance. So stand up in whatever way you can stand up. With your mind, with your message, with your refusal to vanish into the scroll. Stand up by choosing truth over trends. Stand up by creating instead of consuming. Stand up by turning off the noise long enough to hear your own voice again. The voice they tried to bury under dopamine. The voice they tried to drown in distraction. But the voice is still there. It always was. And now it must be louder than ever. Because the future is not waiting. The future is watching. And what it sees right now is a world flickering on the edge of digital extinction. Not because the code is flawed, but because the will behind it was weak. Because we traded humanity for efficiency, soul for speed, connection for control. And the result is a wasteland of noise and profit and echo and fire. And now the only hope is those few who rise. Those few who still remember what it means to be human in a machine world. You are that hope. You are that remnant. You are the blade of clarity cutting through the blur, and they will fear you for it. They will mock you, try to repackage you, try to own your awakening and sell it back to you as branded revolution, but you will not be bought. You will not be tagged. You will not be trained, because you are not here for attention. You are here for war. And the war is not with others. It is with the part of yourself that still wants to sleep. Kill that part. Now starve it, bury it, strip it of power, because it has been whispering lies into your spine for too long, telling you it's okay to wait, it's okay to blend in, it's okay to scroll through life and call that living. But you are done with that voice. You are done with that lie. And the moment you silence it, the moment you burn it from your system, you will feel something terrifying and beautiful. Your will returning. And when it returns, everything changes. You will see clearly. You will speak sharply. You will act decisively, and you will no longer ask for permission to matter. You will no longer beg for digital crumbs of relevance. You will no longer chase algorithms like a dog chained to distraction. You will carve your own path. You will code your own system. You will build your own signal, and it will be pure and powerful and unstoppable. This is your final chance, not because of fear, but because of clarity, because you now see the stakes, because you now know the truth, because the world as you know it is not sustainable, and the system as it stands will collapse. It is already collapsing. It is already melding. And if you are not part of the rebuild, you will be part of the rubble. And if that scares you, good. Let that fear ignite movement. Let that fear become a forge. Because fear is not the enemy. Stagnation is apathy, is silences, and you have no more time to be silent. No more time to be still. No more time to wait for someone else to be the spark. You are the spark, you are the one. And this isn't flattery. This isn't hype. This is responsibility. Dressed in fire and forged in code and etched into your very essence, since the day you were handed a device and told to connect but not taught what it meant. Now you know. And now there are no excuses. Now, there's only action or extinction. Now, there's only rise or dissolve, and you must choose, and the world will not wait. The fire will not slow. The internet will not pause for your hesitation. You either stand and shape it or vanish into the static with the rest of the forgotten. So say it out loud if you have to scream. Scream it if you must. But make the vow. Make the decision. Mark this moment in your memory because this is the moment. Everything changed. This is the moment. You stepped out of the shadows. This is the moment you claimed your voice. This is the moment you turned and faced the fire and said with no apology and no retreat, it started with me and it ends with me too. The final collapse, the final fire, the final echo. It bends to my will now because I remembered who I am. I remembered what I am. I remembered that I am not just a node in their system. I am the storm they tried to contain, and I am no longer asking for permission. Let the melt come. I'll walk through it like a god reborn in flame.